This is it. Do or die.
Congratulations, you made it.
What's up, guys? It's Jason here, and welcome to my YouTube channel, Back to School Insight. Remember your old graphing calculator? I remember the day I told my parents I had been dreading that moment since I knew about it, trying to find a loophole or a way out of the predicament I, along with millions of other kids, had to face. Palm sweaty, stomach churning, I faced a terrible moment where I had to broach a topic that could lead to a disastrous evening. Sitting down to family dinner that night, despite my misgivings and apprehension, I knew it was time. Mom? Dad? I need a graphing calculator.
Excuse me, what?
I need a graphing calculator. This is the $100+ commitment that families across America are forced to make every year, sometimes multiple times a year if they are unlucky. That if they expect their child to succeed, or at the very minimum pass, their math and science classes, they need to purchase a graphing calculator for their child. In 1980, graphing calculators were cutting-edge technology. It was revolutionary with 128 kilobytes of storage in a 96 by 64 pixel screen. Something of that caliber that could also fit into your pocket deserved that $100 price tag retailers slapped on it. Now, with options like a basic, if not outdated, iPod Touch that have 16 gigabytes, a kilobyte equates to exactly 0.000128 of a gigabyte, with touchscreens and an incredible interface, the choice of what you should buy for what your child needs seems obvious. But unfortunately, the sensible choice loses to an outdated and basic electronic that performs functions as well as any application available on today's market. It's weird how we're talking about the rise and fall of Texas Instruments graphing calculators now, right? This is something I thought would be talked about 20 years ago. Before we can look at the fall of TI's global influence in the education sector, we have to look at how Texas Instruments came to be such a powerful company. We'll see why their calculators are just a small side project to the company, and just how exactly the world views this company who pulled in over $14 billion in 2019, and why were they talking about the decline of a top publicly traded company. But first, if you wouldn't mind just tapping that like button for the YouTube algorithm, I would really appreciate it. The more engagement a video like this gets, the more likely the YouTube algorithm is to push it out for more people to enjoy. And as this is a brand new channel I started this year, it helps me out and it's free to do. I respond to all comments and feedback. If you had a Texas Instruments calculator back in school, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for new videos each week. Thanks for doing that, and now let's continue on with the rise and fall of TI graphing calculators. History of Texas Instruments. Born from a reorganization event in 1951, the Dallas-based company reached its current dominance by producing semiconductors and integrated circuits, most commonly known as microchips, for consumers worldwide. Today, it is known as one of the most important semiconductor companies globally and holds over 45,000 patents. As of 2005, there are approximately 150 patents belonging to Texas Instruments solely regarding their top-selling calculators. These range from the patent for a miniature electric calculator awarded in June of 1974 to the November 2004 patent regarding shading of inequalities on a graphing calculator. Texas Instruments has been on top of the calculator game for over 30 years. Now, you will find it funny when I tell you that the calculator portion of Texas Instruments, well, the portion of their company where they have monopolized and milked for decades, it counts for less than 3% of their total revenue. Yes, you heard that right. The famous TI-84 retailing for over $100, forcing millions of parents to say, "Are you serious?" is counted in Texas Instruments' other category in the annual report. Now, that is not to say that the other category is insignificant. The total amount of this category as of 2018 is $1.43 billion. Accounting for more than many companies' entire revenue, Texas Instruments' Others division is nothing to sneeze at. However, this is a division that Texas Instruments has lost a sizable amount of revenue on in the past decade. An amalgamation of competitors, free internet applications, and alternative teaching methods have slowly chipped away at the Texas Instrument monopoly. That has effectively kept other players from the market for far too long. While the decline in their calculator sales may seem insignificant to the company that holds $13 billion with its main assets, the momentum in the current calculator climate has shown that Texas Instruments is experiencing a decline in their instrument sales that may be worrisome to the executives in their education department. The company reported a loss of approximately $800 million in their 2013 to 2014 year, a significant loss from their 2011 to 2012 year. Why do people still use graphing calculators? However, due to Texas Instruments' foresight and business model, their overpriced and out-of-date technology has held a firm grasp on the calculator market for decades. By paying popular textbook publishers such as McGraw-Hill to include Texas Instrument calculator exercises in every published textbook, they are able to include exercises that require a standard TI-84 graphing calculator in homework and classroom assignments. Through their textbook deals, TI forces educators to become familiar with, own, and know how to operate a TI-84 so they can effectively teach their pupils on how to use the equipment properly, so they can be properly prepared for their standardized tests and college exams. Additionally, the executives and salespeople of the Texas Instrument division made a habit of cozying up to standardized test creators such as the AP, SAT, or ACT boards. Attempting to keep all other companies and products away from the standardized test settings, the executives got creative with their tactics of isolation. In this crusade for monopolization, the leaders of the Education Board funded lobbyists to badger the Department of Education for over 4 years starting in 2005, eventually getting all full keyboards, internet-connected devices, and touchscreen technology banned from entering the testing premises. By eliminating the usage of touchscreens, full keyboards, and internet-connected devices, Texas Instruments sealed their monopolization of the classroom calculator and signed a deal of their success. The Great Graphing Calculator Ripoff. As previously mentioned, this monopolization only accounts for less than 3% of the TI franchise and holdings. Sounding less significant than what it actually does represent, this monopolization accounts for approximately a 93% share of the entire calculator market, ensuring that the Texas Instruments profits would remain unchallenged and untouchable with their connections and control over the education system. This stranglehold that Texas Instrument had on the market remained fairly effective for many years. By getting teachers, school systems, and textbook producers all over America to buy into their technology, TI became the norm overnight. Despite protests from parents and some educators about the steep cost of the calculators and obvious lack of regard for lower-income populations, the market thrived off of the preceding experiences. These actions, from classroom education to systematic academic requirements, reinforced the company's sway over everyday learning, forcing brand loyalty with generations of students just because of effective lobbying actions. These habits sent a clear message about what it takes to be successful in modern-day classrooms. That is, what educators and companies used to consider necessary equipment and items to succeed in the modern-day classroom. As competitors and innovators took a look at Texas Instruments' monopoly, a lot of red flags began to appear, and the illusion of what many considered normal fell away as people raised concerns. In one example, a competitor of Texas Instruments, Casio, produces calculators that have identical or significantly more advanced technology for a steep price difference. Their top-of-the-line model goes for $80, and their best-selling model that compares to the standard TI-84 that is required for classes like Algebra 2, only $50 compared to TI's $100 retail price tag. And they still turn a profit! This may leave some wondering if perhaps Texas Instruments uses different technology or more advanced materials. In truth, it only costs TI between $15 and $20 to fully craft their standard graphing calculator, the same exact price of their competitor. So, a retail price of $100 gives the Texas Instrument Education Department a $400 profit with this single product. Not bad when you have cornered over 93% of the market in America alone. Now, there's a learning curve. It's not as simple as copying the TI-84 and undercutting their retail price to gain sway over the market. For teachers and other educators, it is common to have apprehensions when changing into the unknown, a fear of teaching students something that's wrong or wasting time in a school system that is overpopulated and underserved. So it is no wonder school systems have been slow to adapt cheaper options like Casio to resist change altogether when it comes to technology. However, it would be interesting to see how change is affected by something else, an option that is created for students by a Yale graduate who was equally frustrated and appalled by the gross capitalism happening off of the most vulnerable in our society. Is there a free graphing calculator? And what if the second option is totally and completely free? Yes, you heard that right, 100% free for anyone to use. That is where Desmos was created and currently thrives. Desmos is an application available for downloading into any device you already possess, such as an iPod, iPhone, computer, or tablet. This app was created to fix the problems we mentioned earlier. Families can't afford to spend $100 on an object that has limited uses. CEO and creator of Desmos, Eli Lubaroff, felt motivated to close the gap between the disparity in access to learning tools. In a complete 180 from Texas Instruments, Desmos gives the technology away to students and educators for free, all while charging textbook companies to license their content. This strategy has been incredibly effective, and now, where Texas Instrument demos and problems were displayed, there are online Desmos prompts, exercises, and solutions, giving power to some 40 million students and educators through free educational tools. These multiple options in the calculator industry have significantly loosened Texas Instruments' grasp on the market over the past several years. From competitors calling Texas Instruments' gross profit out in comparison with their own creation and sales like Casio, to the total release of information access to Desmos. The industry where Texas Instruments once ruled with an iron hand, where their main priorities were not devoted entirely to, smaller niche companies and individuals have risen up to call out the absurd pricing for a piece of equipment. A piece of equipment that, while is still considered standard and necessary, has the extravagant price of a far more valuable commodity. The field of standard student equipment is changing, and from the textbooks that were once swayed by Texas Instrument to include their exercises, to the educators and families who purchase, use, and promote the graphing calculator, things are swiftly changing in this new world. And that brings us to today. While a reported 90% of educators still use physical calculators like the TI-84 graphing calculator, we have seen an increase of cell phone or tablet applications, and even online usage to a whopping 6% of how individuals solve their math and science problems. These numbers were calculated prior to the 2020 pandemic and a steep increase in online learning. Despite this dramatic change in the learning sector, we currently do not have any of the numbers to compare or contrast previous years to. Despite the lack of statistics and data, it'll be interesting to observe how the physical calculator industry competes with at-home and online applications, especially in times where online learning, teaching, and homeschooling has significantly increased in a short window of time. No matter how small that 6% prior to 2020 seems, there could be an incredible shift in numbers once the 2020 fiscal year is revealed. Regardless of how 2020 has affected learning, Texas Instruments has seen and reported about a 35% decrease in its revenues since the 2014 fiscal year. A loss that accounts for approximately $800 million in total, or around $100 million of loss per year. So, while it's not the most dramatic decrease to a company's whole that we have seen, especially considering the mega declines like Kmart and other retail brands, there is certainly ample evidence that the iron fist Texas Instruments has had on the market is declining, reducing the profit of their company's other 3% investments, while still largely leaving the Texas Instruments company mostly intact and slightly affected in their declining sales of calculators. The significant change in the industry leaves a large population searching for the next great application that monopolizes the education demographic and capitalizes on the areas needing improvement. So with that said, thank you so much for watching my video. There was a significant amount of research and production that went into making this video possible. As this is a brand new YouTube channel I just started this year, if you enjoy videos like this, please click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell. If you haven't seen already, check out my video on the rise and fall of FUBU or the rise and fall of LA Gear. As always, stay happy and healthy and stay tuned for another episode of Company Insight next week.